Welcome to the Teach Big podcast, the place where we lean into our content, our craft, and our compliments. I'm Randy Whitney, and today's episode is a little bit different in that I'm spending some valuable time with a brilliant high school junior who will be sharing his take on how his education and language arts and some math has helped shape his college and future career choice. Please help me welcome Ren, a junior at Atascocita High School. Hi, Ren. How are you today?
I'm doing amazing. How about you?
Oh, so good. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know how busy you must be. I know you're doing college visits and I'm sure lots of studying. So thank you for being here.
Hey, it's a blessing, ma'am. It's an honor as well.
Oh my goodness. Love you already. So could you tell me a little bit about yourself, Ren?
All right. Academically or in esports? Because I can do both if you like.
Let's start academic and go into esports because that's the big connection we're going to be making today.
All right. Very well. Academically, I'm a very strong student, ending out my junior year around the 3.8 GPA. I've also been accepted into 2 National Honor Society and I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember the last one. I was in all AP classes this year, and next year I'm just going to be relaxing my senior year.
I don't blame you for that. I did the same thing. That makes a lot of sense. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Of course. So I know we're going to be talking about esports, but you're talking here to a person who doesn't know much about esports at all. Could you tell me what is esports?
Ooh, okay. I can give you a technical definition by the books, or I can give you what it means to me.
Let's do both.
Very well.
Start with the technical side.
All right. Technically, esports is a version of the entertainment industry, like say football or soccer.
Okay.
They give the product of like a game and just sell it to the people.
Okay.
Like imagine how you like pay for a ticket for a football game in Houston.
Okay.
And then you could do the same thing in Arlington, but instead of watching players get tackled, you'd watch some computer kids play each other in a game.
Okay, so I think what I hear you saying is that esports, I get to actually watch people play the game. I get to see it on a screen, I assume, yeah? Mm-hmm. And so behind all that action are people who are making that action happen.
Correct.
Okay. I think I'm trying to wrap my mind around something that's a whole new schema for me. So I hope by the time we're finished here, I have a pretty good idea what in the world esports is and where does it fit into today's world and definitely into your own life. So can you tell me about how it affects you or what it means to you personally now? If that's the academic or business side of it and definition side, what does it mean to you?
To me, esports is another world entirely. Like, usually my school day, it drags on and all that. And the moment I get to clock out and head down to the computer lab, it's just a weight off my shoulders. I get to meet with my friends, I get to practice, and I get to become a better player every day. So one day I could hopefully play with the best or work with the best in that industry.
Okay, so I think what I hear you saying here is there's an academic and a business side of it, but there's also a very personal side of it where you get to just relax and be yourself.
Correct, because I've been playing video games since I was very little. I don't know if I can say the game, but it was made by the mouse company that I'm not going to say for legal reasons. But I remember playing that game so much when I was a child that I became in love with the world of video games. And over time, I expanded my variety of games.
Sure.
And now I play competitively in a few different games.
That is really neat. I didn't realize there was a competitive side to that. So I'm probably late. I'm late to the esports party, I think. Yeah. But I'm getting there. I'm on my way.
Yeah, it's only blown up recently in the 2010s because or it really blew up in the 2020s given a certain disease that came around.
Sure.
But it's actually existed since the 1980s back at Stanford.
Okay.
It's a little fun fact, but apparently Tetris was one of the first games to become an esport and have a competitive tournament. It was more over for bragging rights, but over time it grew to have money and pools, and eventually people made factions.
Okay. Yeah. I did not realize. Thank you for that history.
No problem.
I like knowing how things started. I like that a lot. So how does esports fit into the school environment these days?
That's a good question. For me, esports is mainly just a business. We try to get a product out to the people as fast and as efficient as possible.
Okay.
I mainly focus on the marketing aspect. I want to like reach out to the people and say, hey, we have this item. You should definitely buy it. It's not going to be a waste of time. But there's also the administrators who run the companies. And then you also have people like event coordinators. These are the people who would also run like concerts, football games, all those different events. You could find them in like the computer labs. There's also
So I think what I hear you saying here is there are so many different aspects. There's not just the player, for example, much like if we were looking at football or baseball, it's not just the guy who's up to bat or the guy throwing the ball, but there's so much behind him to make it all possible and all come together.
correct.
And you like the marketing side, I hear.
Yes, ma'am. It's a whole nother world for me to study, and I don't really know that much about marketing as a whole, but I would love to learn like the bare bones of it. And how there's going to be more jobs coming in the near future, given how fast it's growing. So maybe in the future, I could try and be a pioneer for a certain job, hopefully.
You know, Ren, there's probably jobs right now that we haven't even dreamed of, that we can't even fathom what they might be yet. And you might, be, like you said, be a pioneer within those career choices. So I might be talking to somebody who's going to be a really famous guy someday.
I don't do it for the fame. I just do it for the passion, you know?
You know, I love what you just said there, because if everybody did that, then I think in general, people would be so much happier with themselves, that they're chasing what their heart loves versus chasing things that give them external happiness, but that internal happiness and that passion. I love it when not just kids, but people in general really do follow their passions. I feel like I've followed my passion and I love it, even though I was that nerdy girl who was always writing stories. You know, God finds a way to make all those things work out. The desires of our heart and what we know the best and what we become passionate about, hopefully someday can change other people's lives too and help others.
It's truly a blessing that I can do these esports, because there are people like me who want to go into this, but they don't have the resources.
Okay. So can you tell me, how is esports considered a sport without the physical part of the sport?
Okay. So for me, esports is just a sport because it has a market, and like football, soccer, baseball, all those other teams, they're trying to give on the best show they can for their people, you know? And another thing is that while it's not a physically demanding sport, like you're not going to break bones or anything, it is mentally draining if you do it for too long. I myself can confirm that burnout is one of the leading causes for esports players dropping out. I've seen it firsthand with some of my teammates, and I myself have had some burnout with my esports, but ultimately.
So you kind of have to give it a break for a little bit and then come back and then remember why you appreciated it.
Correct. If you overwork your brain and the mental processes, you're ultimately just going to be burnout and quit. It's sad, but you know, that's
It happens. Yeah. You know, I think it happens with athletes too. So sometimes that does happen, and that's okay. That's just another way of saying, okay, well, if that door is going to close, then there's going to be another door a little bit down the road that's going to open. And maybe it'll be in the same or similar field, or maybe it'll be in something completely different. But I have found that you'll still use that skill set that you have fallen in love with and honed and become really great at in whatever you do in your life. I've definitely done that. So let me ask you this. What fields does esports offer in their market? Like, we talked a little bit about the different jobs, but could you go more into that for me?
It's a bit difficult to explain because on the one side, you have the events themselves, you know,
Okay.
event coordinators, the shoutcasters. Oh, I forgot to tell you about that.
Ooh, tell me about that.
Okay.
What is a shout-caster?
A shoutcaster is basically what we call our broadcasters, because they're always, you know, yelling and shouting.
Okay.
Esports is all about letting that energy go out into the most insane moments. You want to have that passion, that fire, that you
Okay.
can't usually feel with football and the ordinary games. Like they're usually like, and that's a touchdown, certain team wins. But for esports, you're allowed to scream your head off if one kid scores a goal in a soccer game.
Okay.
But
So a shoutcaster. So we're kind of building a whole new vocabulary set.
correct.
Can you tell me more about that? Are there other words like that?
Okay, there are some words I could explain. I'm going to use some words from the game I play.
Okay.
And I want you to try and guess what they mean.
Okay. I'll try my best. Oh, goodness.
Okay. I'm going to just use one of my teammates' usernames.
Okay.
Okay. Shoko got a 3K and then popped her ult to cap the point.
I know what point is.
Okay, perfect. You got one out of three.
So that's about as great as I get right there. So tell me more.
So a 3K is basically a simplified version of saying how many eliminations someone got.
Okay.
So 3K means 3 kills. And an ultimate or an ult is like a person's greatest ability. And in numerous games, you have these ultimate abilities, but it can change depending on the game and the title and all that junk. But
So I feel that you're creating a whole new lexicon. And within doing that, so this takes me back. Obviously, I did not know him. It was before my time. But good old Noah Webster. You're probably familiar with who in the world he is. And that is, he's the guy who took 28 years to write the Webster Dictionary as we know it. And so in doing so, he had to make some decisions. And his single solitary decisions really have directed our language and how we look at some of our spelling patterns and our vocabulary words. I kind of feel like through all of this that maybe you should write your own dictionary, like, Renner's Words or something. And you could be the Noah Webster of the esports world. Is there anything out there that could help somebody like me? Like if I had to go look it up in the dictionary, is there anything out there like that?
I mean, not to my knowledge about a book, but over time, as you watch the games, you could pick up on the lingo they use. But it's a bit unique because they use the same sort of a lexicon creation in other sports like golfing or bowling.
Okay.
For instance, in bowling, 3 strikes, you get a turkey. Now, that doesn't
Also
randomly spawn a turkey, but again,
Here
that
we
was
are.
cool. Yeah. And in golf, you have the eagle birdie system, the
Sure.
par system, and all that. People have been doing this stuff since the dawn of sports. It's an easier way to make stuff more appealing and easier to understand.
So this also helps me when I think of it from a teacher's perspective and I'm reading what students write. And if they say alt, I'm like, what is that? You misspelled it or you used a wrong word. Really, they didn't misspell anything and they really didn't use a wrong word. They used a word that they are very familiar with. I'm the one who wasn't familiar with it. So I think it would really behoove teachers to have discussions with kids in their interest areas because that helps us understand you better. Right? Because when I was your age, keep in mind, we did not have video games. Also, did not have cell phones. Also, did not have home computers. There were computers and took up big old rooms that ran some things at hospitals maybe, but we did not have what you have. So there's definitely, I guess we need a little grace and a little education. And because what you're saying to me really does help me understand students writing better because esports and the gaming industry is so huge and there's so many elements of success within the gaming industry that I do feel like an older person who really needs to understand the young writers of today because that's the only way I can appreciate them. So I love that you're sharing this different vocabulary along the way. Okay, wait, I understood point, but you said cap point. Tell me about that.
Oh, right. Cap is just short for capture, i.e.
Okay.
Like in the game I play, it's objective based. Like you have to bring, say, this cup to here.
Okay.
And then back or whatnot. Mm-hmm. But in the case of capturing, that's like saying you capture this entire recording area. That's basically the captured objective.
Okay.
And then one team has to defend it. But
okay, so my nerdy English language arts teacher self says, okay, you're saying the word objective. I'm thinking teaks. I know it's crazy, but that's just my nerdy brain and where it goes. So basically, I could cap a teaks.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm trying here.
It's cool, but something I realized is that over time, our lexicon is going to keep growing and growing because that's what we do. The young build off of the old templates and try to make them better and better. Like, we've used slang since we've made languages. So I think there's going to be even some slang in esports that I may not never understand or realize. Because believe me, I have no clue what the generations after me are learning about right now. Generation A and B.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I know they're probably going to do something amazing in esports after my time's done.
That's very fortuitous of you. Nice. So, in the esports world, is it welcoming to all types of people, or what if I have something that's a little bit different about me than other people? Is esports a welcoming environment, or is it kind of really honed into a certain type of person?
Okay, so overall, esports is a very welcoming community. We have players from all across the world across the world with all these different languages and in some people's cases with different disabilities being blindness or hearing impairment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
how does that work for them?
oh, well, that's why we have shoutcasters. While they may not be able to watch it, they could probably try and imagine it through the shoutcasters.
Okay.
But as for the hearing impaired, I do not know of this current day if we have translators for ASL. And my sister, she's taking up ASL next year, so hopefully she can probably join the esports industry if she chooses.
So you're saying it's so new that there are possibilities that haven't even been tapped into yet.
Correct, yes.
That is interesting. So shoutcasters are kind of like broadcasters, but more involved?
More loud, to be honest.
Louder.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I can tell from personal experience, they can get crazy over the smallest things.
Does it make you want to take your headphone off?
Like the shoutcasting?
Yeah.
You don't.
Or is it not really like that? It's more their enthusiasm.
It's the enthusiasm.
Okay.
It's like a passion. Everyone has their own passion. And the moment they get on the mic and get to let loose all that energy, it's practically like watching a roaring inferno take over the mic. It's insane stuff.
Oh, good vocabulary right there, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think that being involved in esports and hearing the shoutcasters and maybe even becoming a shoutcaster, do you think that's improving your vocabulary and changing how you read and how you write? Do you think it's improving it? Do you think it's having much of an effect on it?
Well, I don't really think about the grammar because another thing is that sometimes they don't really
worry too much about that.
Yeah. But the vocab, definitely. There are so many new words and so many new phrases that have been learned because of the shoutcasters. And hopefully they keep on expanding on that lexicon. So when I do my college applications, I can probably use some and make some sort of sense.
I bet you're going to make more than some sort of sense. Okay, could you tell me what you made on your STAR test last year?
STAR test?
Your ECR? Do you remember? I happen to know the answer here.
Mastery, I think.
That would be a 10, sir.
I have no clue.
I love that you have no clue, but that's real important to your teachers. But I will tell you this, that is the top score that you can achieve. And so one of the things this makes me think of is how is all of this experience that you have in this new world? I say a new world because it's a new world to me, and this vocabulary and hearing people from other countries and hearing other experiences and living in a new world, right? How has that impacted what you write? And I'm sure that it really has, because people don't make 10s by accident. So I think you are an eloquent writer, and I think a lot of that has to do with the vocabulary that we've been talking about. Would you agree with that?
Not eloquent in how I write because I write chicken scratch, but I do.
Good news, we're typing now, so you're okay.
Yeah. But I do believe that people all around the world have influenced how I write with my grammar and vocab. For instance, there's a term I learned, I believe a few months ago. It's called a IX, and it comes from the Dutch phrase. I don't believe I remember, but it was coined because someone was supposed to use their ultimate ability in a game,
Okay.
but before they could end up using it, they got eliminated.
Okay.
And the same thing happened 3 times in the same game,
Okay.
and hence it was coined an IX. It ultimately
Is
shows.
that can you spell that for me, or
Sure thing. It's AJAX.
Ajax? Okay, got you.
Yeah, or it's an IX. I'm not really good with the pronunciation.
Well,
of
to
Dutch.
me, that's a cleaner.
It's ultimately a beautiful thing with the lexicon of the world. Given how esports is so interconnected with the World Wide Web, you now get these people from all across the world in like South Korea, China, the Middle East, Europe, America, and whatever other countries.
Sure.
And they keep on adding to this sort of global lexicon through esports, you know? It's a beautiful thing to see the languages meld together to make this lexicon of esports. So,
That is so intriguing. So I had a thought a second ago too, when you were talking about your chicken scratch, but of course, obviously, we type now. So do you think your typing skills have improved or been affected by the video game, maybe the fine motor skills or the brain to hand correlation? What do you think? Have you ever thought about that?
while I can't say for certain that I won't make mistakes, I certainly write faster. I feel like I've doubled my typing speed because of my involvement with esports over the years. And because I've played different games with the different sort of controls and whatnot, I've been able to move my hands across the keyboard faster than I could before. So that's another thing.
So, in other words, that's kind of like you have taken your esports and used it as practice, and then it's enhanced a sidebar performance, which is typing in a school setting as well.
Correct.
That's really neat.
And a neat little thing is I've actually seen what happens if I use this ability of mine with esports writing. I'm able to finish my assignments like half as quick as others and still get decent grades. So
Yeah, I think you get more than decent grades, sir.
I tried to.
So, what are your future goals within esports?
That's actually difficult because I'm currently at a crossroad with what I want to do. On the one hand, I want to pursue my marketing. I want to go to a college, get a degree in business admin or marketing, and ultimately move to Europe to take up esports there because I want to.
Have you talked to your parents about moving to Europe?
A bit.
So, this podcast is going to announce that to them.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, dang. Okay,
Yeah.
keep going. Sorry, sir.
It's cool. The other thing is I want to continue playing and hopefully make it big, i.e., play with the best of the best. But there's a problem. While I am good mentally with like picking up skills and different strategies, I cannot play that well because I've been hip hopping from game to game like every year
Okay.
because of school situations and constraints. But
So would that kind of be equivalent to saying, oh, I'm going to play golf, and then next year I'm going to play tennis, and next year I'm going to play baseball, and next year. So you would say that you've got a little bit of a lot, but not a lot of a little?
precisely, yes.
Okay. All right. All
It's-
right.
It's ultimately draining, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's sad.
Interesting. Well, I think that what's interesting also is that by looking at or participating in the different sports, if you will, and the different games and changing them, you're broadening your skill set because probably because of your love of marketing and you want to, and you're yearning and it keeps being on your heart to learn more about it and maybe go to school for it, that if you really only knew one game, you wouldn't be as good of a marketer. But if you know a broad base, then that'll probably help you be marketable yourself to a company who could market many different things.
Correct. It adds on to the problem I was talking about with the crossroads between wanting to play the game and wanting to get the word out there about the game. While I know I should stick with marketing as it's a safer route, I don't want to give up this love of mine for the games. I want to be there as a team player and help my team to hopefully get a state title. But We can talk about that in the next question because
Actually, I do want to talk about state titles. Tell me something a little about Waco. I heard a little birdie
boy.
told me something. You went to Waco. Tell me about that.
I have not gone to Waco yet, but
Oh, that's next week. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So the
don't
Waco
worry,
tournament is next week. Okay. Yep. You are so right about that. But tell me about going to the state tournament.
Well, the state tournament is between some of the best high school teams in all of Texas. And it's around 30 to 40 teams, given that there are so many different games to play. But if I remember correctly, if you end up winning one of the games in the tournament, you can end up playing at the national level and have a chance to win a national title.
So has your school ever won
We've
a
won
state tourney?
We've won state once, but
Wow.
oddly enough, we've won nationals twice.
Oh my. Okay, so how would you compare? Like, for example, I heard that there was a walkout. Is that what it's called?
Yes, a
Walk up,
walkout.
walkout, yeah. And it was for the esports team as well as the track team on the same day.
Yeah,
Did I hear that right?
correct.
Tell
yes.
me about that.
Now, the track team was more well known, I guess, because some of the players were more outspoken, more confident, more popular. And the esports team was just the esports team. They were happy to be there. But the feeling of walking out on that day, which was after, I believe, a flood. We arrived late to the school, and it was after the flood. I'm sorry for saying that twice, but the feeling could be described as nothing less than, like, ethereal.
Fantastic lexicon, by the way.
Like, it felt like all the eyes of the school were watching me and wanting me to succeed, even though I wasn't playing. I was just a worker. And because of that feeling, it ended up fueling my passion to actually do stuff for the company, for my team. And I'm sorry for babbling on, but this is actually relating to what's happening this year. Because at the end of the tournament, we ended up having dinner at a burger place, amazing food down in Fiesta, Texas, by the way. One of the coaches, who is now retired from the esports industry, she said, Ren, go sit with that team right over there. So I ended up joining that team this year. And we would go to state, but because of certain issues, technology-wise,
Sure.
and other issues with the grades, we did not qualify for state, but our varsity did. So now I'm just dragged along as a substitute player.
Oh, that's okay. That's fantastic.
I'm just happy to have the opportunity,
I love it. So when you guys got to walk out with the track team and everyone was cheering you on and all of that, is that something you would say is a snapshot memory of your lifetime?
Snapshot? I don't know if that's the correct phrase for me. Like,
How would you describe it?
I feel like it'd be the opening of a movie, you know?
Ooh.
Like, imagine it's what's the term they use? Like, for the modern media, they call it a slice of life, which is sort
Okay.
of a happier movie or show. It felt like the beginning of a slice of life movie about a win or a giant tournament victory. And while I can say for certain that I have not experienced that moment yet for a slice of life climax, hopefully I can have that same dopamine rush because it just feels amazing. And I really hope kids who have the walkouts for esports, that they can someday feel this by joining esports and getting that same dopamine rush that I did.
That is really neat. And I love that we are celebrating the physical sports, but also the mental sports and the academic sports. I think that's so important because everybody is different. We're all made different. And that's good. That's a very good thing. And I love that getting kids plugged in, you get recognized for the skills and the talents and the brains that you bring to the picture.
Correct. But there is another thing, and that's the team bonding. Now, while I will say earlier this year, my team did have some issues with team bonding. I myself didn't help that much. But with new additions to the team, we ended up having a better chemistry. And this is something I found out. Apparently, two of our players were dating. And they had the funniest nicknames. Like, I'm not going to use their actual names, but their name was, like, say, Cake and Cake BF. It was adorable to watch. And I ended up becoming good friends of the boyfriend. and we ended up becoming a good duo. And while he will not be playing with me next year, I do hope him well for next year's esports.
So I think also what you're saying is pretty reflective of what happens within any group, whether it's, the band or the tennis team or the golf team. There's their sport, but then there's also a personal side to things behind the scenes as well.
Like, you gotta think of it as like, what's the term? You gotta think of it as a giant body. Like, you have the heart, which is the captain, and then everyone else is like the organs and limbs and all that mushy stuff.
Great analogy.
Yeah, I don't know, but if you have players who want to have the same goal of, like, say, reaching state or qualifying for it, that passion is just going to snowball into something that not even the best teams in the state can control. I should know because I've seen what my team can do when faced with the win or lose situation with qualifying. It can be tear-jerking to watch your team lose on the cusp of greatness, but
So hard.
yeah, at the same time, you gotta remember, if you lose once, that's one thing. That doesn't mean it's gonna be your final loss. So
Of course.
pick up your boots, dust them off, and get back on the saddle and keep working. Because you always have
Great
next year.
philosophy.
Yeah.
We all need to learn that from you, sir. So let me ask you this with regards to esports in Texas. Do you think esports is a big deal in Texas? Do you think it'll stay a big deal in Texas?
Okay. So it's a bit complicated given like the scholastic effect or scholastic wise, I do not know because of a recent bill that was passed that would ban some of the games and another game that got banned because it was owned by a Chinese company. Our limits are being pushed and we have very few places to go. And we're worried about some of the other games getting banned for the same reasons, be it the violence or owned by a Chinese company. And while I don't think football is going to be replaced anytime soon, because, come on, we're Texas. Football is practically in our DNA. I do feel esports outside of school is going to be growing a lot faster in Texas, given how there's so many teams that had a formula here. And it's practically just going to be a hub for the esports world, and I hope it can be a hub for North American esports soon.
So you're saying that there are some constraints when we're talking about in the school system, which does make sense. That does make sense. So I could see almost there being two separate entities, almost the school esports and then the outside of school esports, and that's not a whole lot different than a normal sport that's physical, because I've seen that within my own children. You've got a kiddo who plays select ball versus only plays in school ball. There are different sets of rules. There are different sets of umpires, different sets of everything that go with that. So I think it's not really a bad thing, because I think that gives us opportunities to expand our viewpoints and expand what we need to learn. So I think it expands our learning base when we have to realize, okay, here's what we can do in school. Here's what we can do outside of school. And that's real life anyway, right? Because school is more of the professional setting for a young person, right? And so for an older person, when we go to work, there's a certain level of professionalism at work, but when we go home, we put on our pajamas, right? So I think it's not a bad thing to have this professional educational side as well as the outside of the profession side. I think that's a good mix.
Right. And on to build that, I actually have a personal example of that as well. I have one teammate, I don't remember. Oh yeah, it's the same one I used in an example when doing the lexicon and the language. Her name was Shoko. That's not her actual name. We're just going to call her that for the sake of calling her that.
Okay.
I found out about a month or so ago that she ended up getting onto a professional esports team. While she isn't earning money, so to say, she's getting that experience of playing competitively. While I don't think I'll be able to play at her level, I think we're going to be like two sides of a coin. She's going to be the player and I'm going to be the marketer. So.
Nice. I know. And that's fantastic, because in any business, you have to have all the pieces working together. Nobody can do anything completely solo. It doesn't matter. Even if it's a solo sport, you still have to have a whole team around you to help you succeed. So I feel like this is the same thing. So do you feel like esports is a pretty fast growing market?
Like, it's a bit difficult for me to put on point. But simply, yes, complicated wise, it's growing, but not at the rate that it was back in 2020, back when the disease happened.
Okay.
Because you see, after the disease restrictions were like knocked down and we could go back and go to these events, it started to fizzle out because all these people who were stuck inside can finally go back to watching their favorite sports like soccer,
Got
football.
you.
But because it's new games and new people rising to the top, you got markets all across the world that can't be replicated back here in the Americas. Like, sure, you have a really big football market here in the Americas, but at the same time, you don't really have a big esports market. Vice versa, there's not a big American football market in Europe, but there's a huge esports market. It's funny, to be honest, but
So that kind of leads me into the next question. Where do you think esports should begin? Do you think we should, you have it at your high school, which is fantastic. So do you think we should bring it down to junior high? Do you think we should start something in elementary school, or what's your vision on that?
okay. First off, I never think esports should be taught in elementary school.
Okay.
I would love to see the kids get that same love of gaming that I had when I was little. Esports is a lot more stressful than people really think. Because while, again, not physically demanding, it can probably lead to burnout a lot faster. But I do believe it should be taught in the middle schools. Because think about it. You're going to be having kids going off to the high schools and playing the big ball football. The same thing that can get you into the NCAA or all these big companies. Well, because of what I'm doing in my district, which is setting up a feeder school for esports, I basically want to make my own little web of mini esports programs that feed into my high school and all the surrounding high schools. And hopefully someday we become the strongest esports district as well, aside from the football district as well.
So that's where you're going to use all your marketing skills.
Correct, yes.
So again, we talked about passion earlier in the podcast. And so now you are talking about sharing that passion with younger kids.
Correct, yes.
Fantastic. So what do you see as some of the cons or the limitations of esports?
Okay, like the main one has to be with Wi-Fi resources, overall just what you have at your disposal, because
That makes sense.
you can't just take some dollar store laptop and then try and play some of the toughest games with the highest settings. It's just going to explode and you're not going to get anything done. But a common misconception is that people who are older, like say 60s, 70s, or
Be careful.
older. Yeah, I know. I know there's someone in the audience who
It's
would
okay.
sense that. But I know that even at that age, you can still play because of an Australian team called the Silver Snipers.
Ooh, tell me about that.
Can you guess what age group they are?
So they're an esports team, basically.
Correct.
Are they older than me?
I don't know.
How old I am?
I'm
Okay,
just going to say
so-
no. I'm going to say yes, they are older than
They're
you.
older than me. So I would say, let's say they're in their 60s-ish.
Correct. They are a team of 60-year-old players for a game. Cut this out if it's bannable, but Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And they're dominating Oceania.
Really?
I-
That is so intriguing.
Yeah. It's ultimately an amazing thing because you can still be old and be in esports. That doesn't mean you have to stick with playing. Like, you don't have to start playing 9 to 5 and make it into a normal desk job. You can, like, as soon as you get into esports, you're free to move around. We don't have the same limitations that, say, football or soccer has.
Okay.
You know, you have the freedom to change from, say, a player to a coach or to a shoutcaster. And on that note about the player switching things, there's a team I want to talk about. Again, cut this out if bannable, but League of Legends. This team called Los Ratones, or the Rats in Spanish. They were a team of ex-streamers for the game that I just mentioned. And now they are tearing it up on the competitive scene for that.
Okay.
And it ultimately goes to show, okay, you can be this, but you can also be an amazing player. And it ultimately is just a beautiful thing.
So it's not about age, I think,
Not
is
about
what you're
age.
saying. Because that's intriguing to me because I would have definitely thought, okay, esports, it's for the younger generation and it really doesn't have a place for me. But you're saying it does kind of have a place for me if I wanted it to be.
There's a place for everyone. You know,
Yeah,
like,
like it. So maybe the esports doesn't stand for what you think it does. Maybe it stands for everyone.
yeah, it's not just for the
Just
young
joking.
gens. It's not for just the gamers. We're for everyone who wants to enjoy themselves and enjoy a fruit of the modern tree. You know? Because
Fruit of the modern tree. Oh, that's so good.
like with football, it's a lot harder to get into. Like either, let's say for cheerleaders or football players, you have to be very athletically gifted, and they only hire the best of the best from, like, say, athletic trainers, marketers. Esports, you can just start up a team from, let's say, I'm going to say random city, El Paso, and then you can build it up in like a matter of days and immediately apply for a team league spot. Granted, it'll probably cost a lot more if you end up trying to play
Right.
the big leagues, but over time, you will grow. And
There really is a place for everyone.
there is, yes. Marketers, nutritionists, shoutcasters, players, managers.
Nutritionist?
Oh, that's a neat
Tell
thing.
me about that.
Okay, so you know how in football, like, they need to keep a strict diet. Like,
Yeah.
you can't eat donuts.
Definitely.
For esports, they also got to use a lot more brain food than,
Okay.
actual fatty foods like beef. They use fish and chicken.
Okay. So foods even matter in esports.
Yeah, they're not just
That is
for the-
so intriguing to me. Okay. So let me ask you this with regards to the world of advertising. Do you think that advertising has a place in esports?
Advertising? Well, personally, I just detest advertising. Like the modern, it ultimately depends on the advertising we're talking about. If we're talking about traditional advertising, i.e., you're going to get a billboard shoved in your face, buy now.
Right.
But I prefer the modern approach where you actually have to look for the advertisements and then you get gifted them. It's
Wait,
why,
tell me about that.
right. So with modern advertising, certain younger companies, like I won't say for obvious reasons, but they use this new form of marketing to better reach their audience. And while it's more cost effective and more time intensive, you ultimately make a better and happier populace because, hey, people can find the stuff without getting Joe's warranty goods.
Right.
So, yes, it's ultimately a blessing about the.
So how does that work? Do you have an example?
Okay, so I can't say the name of the game, but it's a sports game.
Okay.
And apparently, people found out that there were going to be advertisements from a plethora of different like
Okay.
companies, like Coca-Cola, Reese's, all these different companies. But they were going to basically like put them on the billboards in the games. And even if you try to just run away from them and try to make a mod, it wouldn't happen.
Okay, so I think I understand now. So the advertisement is actually within the game itself. It's not, oh, let's cut to commercial.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've been noticing that even in mainstream television and movies, a lot more of that than we did have 20 years ago. It's really brilliant, actually.
It's subversive. Like, it's a bit cheesy, and I feel it's a bit cheaty because, hey, if we'd want to see this, we would actually look for it. But I'll give them props. They're doing something that's a lot smarter than some of the other companies that have their head in the sand and keep trying to shove billboards.
Yeah, and so I think that's another way that esports is changing the face of how people hear about products.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like a podcast. 20 years ago, I didn't know what a podcast was, right? And here we are sitting in the middle of one. And so I think it is very interesting that esports is even having a hand in changing advertising. So we talked about how they're changing our vocabulary. They're morphing that into new lexicon. We're talking about it's creating new careers. And now we're even talking about it's shaping and changing advertisement. So it's really having a huge effect on the general populace, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a really big deal. That's a really big deal. So So one thing that I think also is really intriguing, I work with a school district where their entire population is online. Every person, every kid, every teacher, they're online. Every class is virtual. And, back when COVID existed and so forth, of course, we all went there for a certain amount of time, but there were a lot of people that this was the best way to help them learn. And I love that we're serving the needs of them. Some of them are athletes who need to travel and need to have education kind of wherever they go, whereas other people, it really suits their personality or it suits their particular need or their particular time in life. And so what I love about what you're saying is, just like esports is welcoming to everyone, I also think that virtual learning is doing that same thing, that we're learning the power of the virtual piece and we're learning the electronic piece of the puzzle and how it's really affecting education, advertising, vocabulary. We need a new Noah Webster to come along. Maybe that'll be you. But it's affecting everything we do. And I think that if we're not thinking ahead, then we're already behind. Would you agree with that?
Correct. Yes. Like, I don't think traditional learning or teaching is bad. I love the traditional.
Yeah, I think there's different people have different needs and different desires.
Yeah. Like, me personally, if I had to choose, I would do a hybrid style where I would have most of my classes in person and then say my electives
a little bit virtual. Sure.
Virtual, yeah. And it's also would build well with my esports background because I could, do my assignments at home and then immediately go back to practicing.
Yeah. Smart. Yeah, the hybrid approach is a really neat idea too. I like that a lot. So can you tell me, are there any limitations to the average person going into esports? We say it's for everyone, but are there any limitations within it that you can think of?
Well, like we already know about the resource issue, Wi-Fi
Right.
and the tech you have access to. But it ultimately depends on like what you want to do. If you want to be a player, good luck. Believe me, it's
hard.
It's like climbing a mountain while being Sisyphus. You're going to be like working many hours to try and get better, sometimes see minimal improvement at best. And I can say from past experience, it will eventually get to you and you will probably have some sort of like click moment where you realize either I want to continue to do the thing,
Or I don't.
It will be a moment whether you want to continue doing this, you want to keep fueling this flame of yours, or you want to carry the embers that you once had for the sport and redirect it somewhere else to let it go back to fire, But I'm just going to be honest and give a piece of advice. And it's something I had to accept as well when I was coming of age as an esports player. You may never be the best as a player. There's always going to be someone better than you, but that doesn't mean you can't be the best player you can be. And what I mean by that is try to make yourself the best you can be. Be the best you can be by grinding it out and putting in the hours to train and get better. Even if no one is watching, because that's what they're never going to expect. You could be in the streets of Sao Paulo training your butt off. No one bats an eye. And soon you could be playing with the best of the best in South America. It's ultimately something about esports people don't really realize, The passion just grows and grows if you keep feeding it. It's not like, I don't mean to use the Bible reference, but it's like sin of the flesh. If you keep feeding the flesh, it's going to grow. But if you starve it, it'll die. So it's ultimately like your passion for esports. If you let it grow, it grows. If you let it die, it dies. Sorry for going on that tangent.
No, that was really good. It was really good. So I know when you and I were talking behind the scenes a couple days ago over this, so you had mentioned something about a trifecta.
Oh, right.
Do you remember what that was about? I wish I've written some better notes on that, but you had talked about a trifecta and I drew a triangle. I'm
trying to remember, okay, there's 3 skill sets that I usually see. And I'm going to explain them. There's a mechanical skill set, i.e., you have really good aim, reaction time, all that stuff. You have a good mental skill set where you can see the play about to happen, you can remember certain stats and plan. And then you have a verbal leader. These are the guys who are going to be like giving the call outs and keeping you on your feet with all the information. If one of these parts fails, then the whole triangle will fall apart. But another analogy that I like to use is the bird analogy. My team basically works like a bird. Our captain is a tank, and they basically are the head. They make the call outs, and I'm one of the damage players. I basically go for the eliminations and try to aim for their back lane.
Okay.
But there's 2 analogies for this. Either be a ball of death, i.e. you just look like a wrecking ball and knock that over, or be a bird and just pick apart the enemy team one by one.
Okay.
I personally love the bird analogy because I've been a part of the bird. It's a fun thing if you get to do it correctly.
Okay. Well, I can honestly say I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's more jargon with my esport, but if you bring me back, I am more than happy to explain.
Tell me more, right?
Yeah.
I would love that. I would love that so much. Another analogy that we talked about, and you're so good at the analogies, is the sunflower.
Ooh, the sunflower.
Yeah. Can you tell me about that?
Right.
Let's end with that.
All right, sure thing. So sunflower can be an analogy for both the teams and the players themselves. You have all these big players, like you could have the Bowcats dudes, the Aquanovas, the Triple E's of the world, who are these big sunflowers. They soak up all the sun and get bigger and bigger and bigger, like balloons. And then you have people like me who are seedlings. We want to grow, but we don't have any sunlight. And we eventually, if we don't get any, our passion is going to die out and wither like the sunflowers. And, well, same thing for teams. These little guys are just poking around, and they need the resources, or else you're going to have a monopoly on esports teams. And
so maybe when a big storm comes and blows the big sunflowers around, it gives you guys an opportunity to shine.
It gives new life. And ultimately, that's why
you got to seize the moment.
Yes. Like, to be honest, we need to lead a revolution with esports, okay? We are the newest sport, I guess, in the market. And we got to take the world by storm somehow. So let's just do what no other teams are doing and make a truly global competition. It doesn't matter if it's a World Cup or whatever. Just make something globally that everyone, no matter the country, no matter the gender, the race, or any other intelligence thing, that everyone can enjoy, any game, anytime, anywhere. That's what I want to see happen for the teams of the world.
Well, it's still such a new sport. There is no telling where it's going to go. I think that's going to be really, really interesting to watch. So, Ren, do you have any last parting words for us?
Okay, I am just going to speak from the heart here. You're going to want to work hard. And me personally, just find a passion within your passion. Like, it's a little thing I learned about a few days ago. Find your what, your why, and your how. Many people can say what their what is. Okay, I say I do esports work. I market. A few people know how to say how they do it. Like for me, I set up the games and help my team. But the why is what gets people, because not everyone knows their why, and it's what can truly make a company better. My why is that I want to make a sunflower garden of the best players in the world and the best teams of the world. And in these few years I'm going to have, I probably will get it done.
I have every confidence you're going to get it done. Wow, that is really good. I think everybody needs to know their why, right? And I think that is a fantastic place to end, because you're tapping into why teachers do what they do.
Correct.
And that's to inspire others. And that's what I hear you saying, that you want to inspire younger kids. You want to inspire those people that come after you. So thanks for sharing your why, Ren. It's really, really important that people hear that in education, there are so many different aspects than what we've been accustomed to, that our world is changing, and there's so many things that we need to keep up with, we need to get educated about, because that's how we're going to relate to the students of, as you said, the modern day, right? Well, Ren, thank you so much for being here. I hope you come back someday. And I know you're going on college visits. I know you're about to leave your parents' home and go out into the world and do marketing and esports and get a degree and things that we never even knew about 20 years ago. And I would love to have you back after you've had some of that college experience and keep us in touch with what your future holds. Would you mind coming back someday?
I would love to come back any day.
Well, I appreciate you. So thanks for joining us today. If this message has inspired you, share it with a colleague, or better yet, use it yourself and go out there and teach big. That's right. Believe in your greatness and teach big with your whole heart. Subscribe, don't forget, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. Until next time, think big and teach big and believe in the greatness that is already within you.